I have had an interesting week and running high fevers and hallucinating sometimes. That's been really fun. And I have this joke line that I always say when people say, where'd you get that? Or who made that? And I go, I got it from blind cloistered nuns in Hollywood. And that's just this thing I've always said. And I was hallucinating in my house that the blind cloistered nuns were in my kitchen. And I was so concerned because they're blind, number one, and Scout, my big dog, I was afraid he was going to knock them over. So I went through this 30-minute turmoil about that, only to discover that that was not reality. But in my lucidness, I picked up this book, The Untethered Soul, for the first time. And now I can see why everybody is so adamantly enthralled with it. And as I was reading through, I came across this one quote where the author, Michael Singer, said, "Billions of things could happen that you haven't even thought of yet. The question is not whether they will happen. Things are going to happen. The real question is whether you want to be happy regardless of what happens." And boy, those two sentences just really shook me, because I think about the fact that everything is based upon our perception. And when we start to look at what our perceptions are about everything in life, then we come to realize that we are the ones that are determining the quality of life. And as he continued to talk about these things, it made me realize, when I looked at the title, Casting Your Burdens, what is a burden, really? What is a burden? A burden is a false idea. It's a self-imposed aspect that we have held on to. And we all got them, don't we? And so in those burdens, when you look at Scripture in the Psalms, it says, cast your burden upon the Lord, or what we've come to understand that to mean, law. Cast your burden upon the law means that the law rights everything. The law, spiritual law, takes a false idea and brings it back into alignment with truth, with power, with oneness. And so if you were to cast your burden and give it to law, law would then transmute it and make us realize that there is no such thing, there is no power or presence of a burden unless we feed it and we give it that power and presence. And so, again, as I always talk about, there's a certain level of responsibility that comes with being a student of truth by embracing these principles, because you are called upon to do something that's quite diligent and quite deep and quite constant, and that is to realign yourself with the law, to realign yourself with truth. And isn't it amazingly easy to fall off track? I thought it was just me. So what is a burden? A burden is a false idea. Another way to look at it is a burden is unprocessed or blocked energy. And so I picked that up from actually Michael Singer's book, because he talks about the idea that inside of us, we are this vessel or warehouse, and in this vessel and warehouse is an infinite supply of energy, inner energy. He's not talking about the fuel that we eat and things to consume to get physical energy. He's talking about infinite inner energy and how that is of endless supply. And the rules by which you and I access inner energy are quite simple. They are, you have to keep your heart open. When you keep your heart open, then that inner energy and that flow is constant, and you have full access to the totality of all that is life, of all that is good, of all that is joy, of all that is progression. When you close your heart, you block off that energy. And I don't know about you, but I've been closing my heart a great deal in my life. Whenever we get upset, whenever we feel we've been wronged, whenever we get angry with something, whenever we feel misunderstood, we block our heart and we say, well, I'll never do that again. And all that really does then is it pinches off that inner flow of energy, and it has nowhere to go. And so when you understand that, you realize that at any given moment, we have the opportunity to change that. He gives this wonderful example of a boyfriend and a girlfriend. And the girlfriend breaks up with him. And he is despondent because he loves her dearly. And he goes back to his apartment, and nobody sees him for a couple of months. He doesn't shave. There's, pizza boxes everywhere that he doesn't even remember ordering. He hasn't bathed. He hasn't shaved. And he's just despondent. He's despondent. And so what he has done is he has closed his energy. He has closed his heart. And he's allowed himself to be in this place of just destitution and depression. And that destitution and depression continues to just build and build and build, leading him to a place of less than thriving, we can say. And then lo and behold, a couple of months later, the phone rings, and it's her. And she goes, "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do it. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. Will you take me back?" And in that moment, guess what happened? The closed energy went instantly. And where there was no energy, where there was no desire, where there was no will to live, all of a sudden, he's running around the apartment, throwing away the pizza boxes, jumping in the shower, shaving, all of those kinds of things. Where did that energy come from? The energy is always there, but we can't access it. We can't make ourselves available to it if, for any reason, we have closed our heart. And so it's much richer than that, though, if you look at your own personal life. Because you really have to start examining, where have I closed my heart? In regards to my opinions, in regards to my feuds, in regards to my righteous indignation, in my regards to who did me wrong. And when we close our heart in that way, then what begins to happen is that first the energy wants to go to the brain, and the brain wants to be able to process it and try to work with us in allowing us to see the truth. But then there's so much chatter going on, the author says, then it gets deposited inside the heart, where there is all of this unresolved, or what he calls blocked energy. So I want you to think for a moment. This is a lovely, sobering thing to think this Memorial Day. How much blocked energy are you carrying in your heart? That's all I have to say. Thank you so much. I leave you with no resolution whatsoever. How much blocked energy is inside of us? And so what do we do to remedy that? Casting our burdens upon the law means that we recognize that anything that is a burden, anything that is this separation, anything that is this long-standing righteous indignation, all of that kind of stuff really has no business staying within us energetically. And you have some way to remedy that. And that is to open your heart again. And so as I was going through this week and almost falling into the old trap of what I would do when I would get sick, I tried to do something different. Rather than trying to fix the illness and make it go away, I just decided that I was going to be with it. I just decided that rather than resist it, I was going to allow whatever messages, whatever insights. Obviously, this is, if everything is working together for my good, so is this. And so as I allowed that to take place within me, I began to have come up in my mind all of this antagonistic history with people and events. I mean, way, way back in my life. And I started to do what he said. Every time one of those thoughts would come up, I would say, I forgive myself. I forgive myself for any part that I had in that particular communication and experience. I forgive myself for withholding anything within my heart, and I allow myself right now to be free of that and to open my heart back up again. And then lo and behold, there would be another one and another one and another one. And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to be doing this my whole life. But what I realized was that as I was doing that, I literally knew that there were things that were being unblocked inside of me just by creating that intention. One of the things that falls under the idea of spiritual law, if you've been in the spiritual laws class, the Raymond Hollowell book, is the law of non-resistance. The law of non-resistance says that whatever we resist or whatever we fight simply expands. It was very much in alignment with what Reverend Scotchy was saying today. If we force something, we are in resistance to it. Whatever it is that we resist in mind, if I'm not going to do that, or they're wrong, or if we stay in that particular level of energy, the world isn't fair, that's resistance. And so when we continue to do that, we just generate more and more and more of that, and it continues to expand and to grow. He wrote in this book, The Untethered Soul, he said, you should know about this energy because it's yours. It's your birthright, and it's unlimited. You can call upon it at any time that you want. It has nothing to do with age. Some 80-year-old people have the energy and the enthusiasm of a child. They can work long hours for 7 days a week. It's just energy. Energy doesn't get old, it doesn't get tired, and it doesn't need food. Well, there you go, you just saved on your grocery bill. What it needs is openness and receptivity. This energy is equally available to everybody. The sun does not shine differently on different people. If you're good, it shines on you. If you did something bad, it shines on you. It's the same with your inner energy. The only difference is that with the inner energy, you have the ability to close up inside and block it. When you close, the energy stops flowing. When you open, all of the energy rushes up inside of you. True spiritual teachings are about this energy and how to open up to it. The only thing that you have to know is that opening allows energy in and closing blocks it out. And so when you start to realize it's that simple, and yet look at our level of resistance with that. Because I wanted to ask a particular question in regards to burdens, and that is, why do you think some people continue to still hold on to the burden? Even though they might know that there's an avenue or an outlet to let it go. Why do they still hold on to the burden? I think for many of us, at times we have felt like that's our identity. Who would I be without my pain? Who would I be without my victim story? Who would I be without my ability to stand up and to voice my dissent against a particular thing, a particular company, a particular experience? Who would I be if I didn't have that? So my burden is precious to me. And so we want to hold on to those burdens and utilize them, only to realize that by doing that, that burden is self-imposed. You are not here to live a life of familiarity. Familiarity is holding on to your burden. I hold on to it because that's what I know. I hold on to it because that's what I feed. I hold on to it because that's what I've become accustomed to. But you are not here to live a life of familiarity. You are here to practice keeping your heart open. Keeping your heart open. So my practice this week was with the illness. And rather than wanting the illness to go away, was to just be in that. And some really amazing things came up, other than the nuns in my kitchen. I mean, things I hadn't thought about. I had a really angry older brother. And my mother was a widow, and so she was always at work. And after school, when the four of us who were still at the home would come after school or whatever that would be, there was always fighting. And so this angry brother would take my sister Becky and drag her by her hair out into the yard and make her eat grass because he thought that that was fun. And then my brother Daniel, in crying and tears, he would get the phone, with the really long cord, and he would stand and he would hold it, calling my mother at work, and then I would hide. And that came up to me. And I realized, something like that makes you want to close your heart. Makes you want to feel that things aren't safe. Makes you want to feel that things are unjust. But what do you do in that moment if a memory like that pops up? You go, there was pain there. There was pain there. And I forgive him. And I understand the situation. And I allow myself to open my heart to him and to know that his experience and what he was doing was the best that he knew how to do. And there are times in people's lives when you start to understand the level of burdens that we carry. Because like that same brother, he ended up killing himself when he was 54. And you realize that some people, and I'm going to use the word luxury, some people never have the luxury of coming across a philosophy or a path that shows them something different. And I stand before you this morning asking you to honor that luxury, because I really believe that. There's something so vital and so precious that has brought you, that has created this intersection in your life where you would be willing to own your personal power, where you would be willing to take responsibility, where you would be willing to open yourself up to a whole new level of living. To me, that is a luxury that needs to be treasured. And beyond just treasuring it, then what we do is we apply it, and we apply it, and we apply it over and over and over again. So I ask you again, how much unresolved energy or blocked energy are we holding within our heart? And I can guarantee you that if you're willing, then what begins to happen is things will come up, and guess what you get to do? I forgive that. I forgive myself. I forgive that person. I forgive that situation. Because here's the thing, nothing is worth blocking your energy. Do you get that? That's the main point. What is worth that? What is worth diminishing the quality of your life? I would say nothing. There is no battle, there is no force that is worth the diminishment of the quality of your life. And so when you begin to understand that, hopefully what that does is it kickstarts you and I into really applying these principles and doing something about that. And so I was in the shower reading the directions on the shampoo bottle, because that's what I do. And there was one last line in the directions, and it said, lather, rinse, repeat. And my first thought was, wow, they really want to sell some shampoo. But my next thought right after that was, oh my God, that's spirituality 101. Lather, rinse, repeat. What does it mean to lather? What it means to lather is to create an intention to begin to look at all of the grime and all of the buildup and all of the blocked energy and all of the stuff that is diminishing the quality of our life. And to know that it's there, but it has no power over you unless you give it power. And when you create that kind of intention, then you really do have the ability to shake some things up. And then obviously after that, one needs to do is you have to rinse that off. You have to be willing to let it go. And I know sometimes we get really sick of that phrase, let it go. But there's nothing more powerful than being able to see something that doesn't serve you anymore and to let it go and to walk away and to know that you don't have to be in relationship with that anymore. So to rinse all of that you have lathered up is key. You don't want to just get it all frothy, and then who would walk out of the shower with their head full of suds? You've done that? What is wrong with you? So much. We're going to heal that right now. So when we rinse that off, then what's the final step? You have to repeat the process all over again. Because there is more and more and more to uncover. There is more and more and more to dislodge. If it's an infinite amount of energy, an infinite amount of inner energy inside of us, I want you to pause for a moment and think about how you would use that. How you could reformulate your entire life by not hardening your heart. How you could reformulate the entire quality of your being by letting it all go. And I will tell you, the ego, or whatever you want to call it, would really have a hard time with that. Because can you remember how justified we are in our anger? What would it be like to be able to lay that down and to lather, rinse, repeat over and over and over again? And so if you'll join me this morning in prayer. What I know is that each of us at some level really understands that there is nothing worth blocking or hardening our heart. Nothing. And when we begin to understand that, we can feel safe in our journey of exploration and allowing the opening of that energy to rush back in and to bring to us all of the infinite supply of that energy. We begin to know and understand that this is our true nature. And the more that we do it, the more we become accustomed to that. And the more we become accustomed to that, the more that just becomes the quality of our life. And so I always look and search and find ways to communicate this so that it just doesn't become talk, but it becomes almost like a clarion call that beckons the soul of you to wake up, to see the endless possibility that is before you, to know that you are not your past, to know that you are not your history, to really actually know that you're not even whatever title appears behind your name, that what you are is a beautiful soul, a being that is connected to the One, and that what lays before you is allowing that being to be more and more present with each passing day. And so we start where we are. We start where we are. And we just give thanks for every little insight, every little aha moment that comes our way, realizing and knowing that all is in divine right order. This is my prayer. This is my affirmation for each and every one of us, knowing that whoever listens to this experiments with opening their heart. And if that happens, then this has been a success. So we hold this divine idea in mind, and we affirm that it is so. And we watch this message as it just goes across endless miles to endless hearts and endless minds, doing the beautiful work that it is designed to do. And for this I'm grateful. And together we say, And so it is.